All right, now to this. The U.S. and Iran are trading attacks this morning, marking another test of that delicate ceasefire. Tehran says it launched drones at several U.S. military targets in Bahrain and Kuwait. That's after the Pentagon completed its own strikes on Iran, which was in response to the downing of an American helicopter Monday. Hours before the U.S. strikes, Vice President J.D. Vance told our own Robert Costa a peace deal is close.
Look, I think that the deal could happen in the next week, but the deal could also happen months from now.
Are the Iranians stringing President Trump along, in your view?
No, I don't think so. Again, I think their system takes a long time to reach consensus.
CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us from D.C. With more on this. You've been looking into this issue. Olivia, good morning. So what does what the vice president is saying mean for President Trump's peace efforts, which he seems to still be optimistic about?
Well, it seems like he was up until about 2 minutes ago when he posted on Truth Social. This is brand new, Errol. It just came out. The president wrote, Iran's military is a complete and total mess. Much of it, like their Navy and Air Force, doesn't even exist anymore. They have been completely defeated. Iran is all talk and no action. The bully of the Middle East is dead. He goes on to say they've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price. The question is, what is the price they're willing to pay? Because this ceasefire has been in place now since April 8th. So we're about 2 months into it. And now it seems the president is at the end of his patience rope. And you gave context there, but yes, over the last 24 hours, we have seen the U.S. and Iran trading strikes. The most significant strikes since that April 8th ceasefire. The U.S. said it was responding to the downing of that Apache helicopter. Iran says it was a mistake that that helicopter went down. Then they retaliated against U.S. forces in the region in Bahrain and Kuwait. They also sent strikes into Jordan. So this now appears like it could spiral out of control. The question being, and the question we're posing to the White House right now, are peace talks done? Because for the last several weeks at this point, President Trump has said they're about 2 to 3 days away from a deal, that the deal is getting close, that there is momentum happening behind the scenes. Even Vice President Vance, they're saying could happen next week, could happen several months from now. Well, after this latest tit for tat with these strikes, is peace dead or is there a path forward? That is really the question at this moment.
Some 6 exclamation marks in that statement from President Trump. Olivia Rinaldi bringing that fresh information to us. Olivia, thank you. Joining us now is CBS News national security contributor Joe Zacks. He's also the former deputy assistant director of the CIA for counterterrorism. Joe, good morning. Looking at Iran's drone and missile attacks, does this call into question the American assessment previously of the state of Tehran's military? Even this morning, President Trump says their country's Navy and Air Force doesn't exist anymore. They've been completely defeated. How is the country then able to launch these strikes?
Well, I think, thank you first, Errol, for having me on. With respect to your question, I think the president is right. By and large, Iran's Navy and Air Force and other portions of their military establishment have been largely defeated, perhaps not completely destroyed, but largely defeated. But one area in which, in this 60-plus day ceasefire period, I believe there has been some reconstitution on the Iranian side, and that's been with respect to their drone program as well as their ballistic missiles. And this is where we're seeing the threat. We saw it in the Iranian attack against Israel this weekend, as well as they're launching missiles at Jordan, Kuwait, and Bahrain these past few hours. So in that respect, there still remains a threat. And it sounds like the president is signaling that he may have to deal with it. Despite efforts to pursue negotiations, this may be a culminating moment.
Yeah, and we've seen over the past few months that the U.S. military can quickly achieve its tactical goals, but the aim here in the end is political, and there's a cost to the U.S. Literally, its ammunition stocks reportedly are concerning as far as the amount they're being reduced. Share any information you have on that, but the ceasefire would be a political decision, not a military one. So what is the risk for the U.S. to continue investing so much militarily?
Well, I think at this point, the U.S. is all in. We started something over 100 days ago, and it needs to be resolved, and it needs to be resolved satisfactorily for the U.S. It's in our national interests, and it's especially in our national interests that this be resolved with the U.S. coming out in a strengthened and a strong position. And by all indications, we should be able to achieve that. The Iranian regime is really in many ways diminished. Their economy is in peril. They're not in a good state. They are, I believe, trying to escalate to maybe de-escalate and get a better deal for themselves. But at the end of the day, we should consider that we're in a stronger position. And I believe that perhaps all this signaling about imminent deals is maybe sending a mixed signal to Iran, where they actually are sensing desperation for us to achieve a negotiated solution of some sort with them, when in fact they are in the weaker position, and perhaps the president is signaling that he's going to take a different approach to really prod them to be more constructive on the diplomatic front. With respect to your question on munition stockpiles, I don't have exact details, but I wouldn't be overly concerned. The Pentagon manages that very carefully. We have huge capabilities in the United States, and this 100-day conflict, really 40-some days of actual military engagement, is not bringing us into a critical position with respect to our munition stockpiles, from what I understand.
All right, Joe, great to get your insight on this really important issue. Thanks for being with us this Wednesday.
Thank you.